areas of rectangles. So we're going to take a look at how to find the area and do a little bit of practice. So first we need to know, what is area? Well, by definition, area is a measure of the surface or region inside a closed boundary. It's the number of whole or partial unit squares needed to cover the region without gaps or overlaps. An area is measured in square units. There are many units to choose from, and some choices make more sense than others. So we'll take a look at what both of those mean a little more closely. On page 304 in your math journal, we're going to go ahead and start using this area formula. So base times height. And you can see up here that the base is the bottom of the figure, the bottom of the rectangle, and height is kind of its vertical, the vertical line here, how tall it is. We're also measuring using centimeters. And so when we talk about area, we would say this square is 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter. So 1 times 1 is 1 centimeters squared. So down below, we need to figure out the base length, the height length, and then the area. And then we'll be drawing some of the shapes as well. So for letter A, we need to figure out the base. So here's rectangle A. The base is the bottom, that's what it's sitting on. So it's 2 centimeters long, the length. And how high is it? What's the height? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 centimeters tall. And since I've already given you the formula, we take the base times the height to equal the area. And so 2 times 5 is 10, and notice it's labeled with centimeters squared. This label is really important for you to get used to, because that's how you should always be labeling area. Whether we're talking about centimeters or inches or feet, we need that squared behind it, that little 2 in the exponent place. Letter B, here we go. The base is 1, 2, 3, 4 centimeters long. The height is 1, 2, 3, 4 centimeters high. And if I multiply, 4 times 4 is 16. Now, we talked about the fact that area is the amount of space inside a closed figure. If I were to count up all of these whole squares in here, I would get 16. I'd get 1, 2, let's mark them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, and so that's how I get that area. This won't always be a strategy that works though. I know in earlier grades you were taught to count squares, but as 5th graders we're really going to focus on using this formula. So let's take a look at letter C. C is 1, 2, and this one only goes halfway across. So 1, 2 and a half, 2.5 centimeters for the base. And my height, I'm going to start up here so I can get my whole units first. So I have 1, 2, and again that half, so 2.5. And so I would multiply 2.5 times 2.5, and I would get my area. Now, when you do letters D, E, and F, you're going to have to work backwards a little bit. So I would begin by drawing your base. I know that my base is 6, so I'd find a good spot where I can get my 6 in there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I know I have to end with 12, so I have to think about my multiplication here. 6 times what equals 12? I also know, because of fact families, division is the opposite of multiplication, so I could do 12 divided by 6 to get my missing factor. And I know that this is 2, because 6 times 2 is 12, or 12 divided by 6 equals 2. So I'm going to come back to my rectangle. I need a height of 2. So 1, 2. And then obviously, since it's a rectangle, if it's 2 on that side, it will be 2 on this side, and then 6 across the top. And my lines are giving me a little trouble here, but I trust that you will use your template and make those lines nice and neat. And then you'll go ahead and label this as letter D so that we know which rectangle you've drawn. So you'll take a little time to do that, practice drawing rectangles, practice using this formula that will be so important to you, and then you're going to get some problems that look like this. This is on page 305 in your math journal. It looks a lot like the homework you'll be doing for this lesson. There are a couple of different things that you need to recognize right away about this homework. The first thing is obviously this says 9 yards, but it's not 9 units long, which means each of these little units is worth more than 1. The other thing is we have kind of a funny shape here. And so for me, it's a little bit easier if I split this. Oops, let's try that again. Split this into 2 rectangles. So I'm going to take and draw just this little line right here. So now I have this larger rectangle and the smaller one. And to figure out my area, I know that this is 6 times 9. So my base is going to be 9. I know that by looking at the top, but I know in a rectangle the top and the bottom are the same. And I know that 6 times 9 is 54. So the area of my larger rectangle is 54 centimeters squared. Now I have a smaller rectangle though. I know that the length of this, the base, is 3. And the height of this part, this section here, is 6. And so 3 times 6 is going to give me 18. To find my total area, I now need to add 54 plus 18 together. 4 plus 8 is 12. Carry my 1. 1 plus 5 plus 1 is 7. The total area of this shape is 72 yards squared. Notice this time we're working with yards. That needs to be reflected in our label. Okay, you'll do something similar for letter B here. You'll want to divide this into some smaller rectangles. You could do it here and here. There are some different ways you can do it, but you'll find the area of each smaller one so that you can find the larger. Let's go ahead and do that. So I know that this square down here actually now is 4 by 4. And 4 times 4 is 16. So the area of the square, the base times the height, is 16. I can also figure out that the height here now is going to be 4. It's going to be the same as over here because my rectangle is the same height. So this one is 2 times 4, which is 8. And now I have to figure out my larger one. I know that the length, the base, is going to be 12, okay, because my top is 12 and the top and bottom of a rectangle are the same. But I have to figure out what's left here. This was 8, and I cut it in half. And so I know that this is 4, so if this is 4, and I had 8, the top portion is also 4, because 4 plus 4 would bring me back to my 8 that I originally had. So this rectangle up top, this larger one here, is going to be 12 for my base times 4 for my height. So 4 times 12 is 48. To find my total area now, I have to add all of those together. So 48 plus 16 plus 8. Add. 8 plus 8 is 16, and 6 more is 22. Carry the 2. 2 plus 4 is 6, plus 1 is 7. And so for this one, I'm missing my line down here, but again, different rectangle, different shape altogether. This time we're using feet, so it's 72 feet squared. Alright. Now, these last two problems we also need to think backwards a little bit. They've given us the area. So we know that total inside the shape it's 360 feet squared. We know that the base is 12. Okay, because the top is 12, so we know the bottom is 12. So 360 divided by 12. So 360 divided by 12. Now some of you might be able to do this one mentally because you might know 36 divided by 12. 12 goes into 36 3 times. 3 times 12 is 36. Subtract, there's 0 left over, bring down my 0. Okay, it goes into 0, or 12 goes into 0 times 0. Okay, so 12 times 30 is 360. So my height, is 30. And so we're filling in those missing pieces. Okay, you'll go ahead and do the same thing here. We know that if this height is 25 on this side, the height over here is also 25. But we'll need to divide 375 divided by 25 will give us our base.